from IATEFL Liverpool. We are here Wednesday, the 3rd of April, the middle, I suppose, of our second day. And I have a personal story to share. So a couple of years ago, I attended a conference in Poland, and I had the great honor of meeting somebody who actually taught me the value of name dropping. So instead of trying to make something out of yourself, you can say, I know David, and mean you know David Crystal. So this time I can say, I'm going to interview Evan, who actually taught me the idea of name dropping, and I would mean Evan Frendo.
Thank you very much, Maria. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again. Who's representing, obviously, himself as a very successful freelancer, but also BESIG, the IATEFL
Business English Special Interest Group.
Which I wonder why we need.
Well, Business English is really an umbrella term. It means, it covers basically everybody who's working in the workplace. Every company in the world, every university in the world is preparing people for the workplace. So that is why BESIG is one of the largest of the SIGs, because it's a huge, huge focus of interest in the ELT world.
And what do you think is the specific interest of your SIG? What is that you want to put forward to the people who are now becoming members of IATEFL?
Right. Well, our basic mission is to link and develop and support business English professionals worldwide. And by business English professionals, really, it's anybody working in this field. So it could be in-company trainers, corporate trainers, people working in the corporate sector, and it could be people working in the tertiary sector preparing students. So those are our two big groups of members in BESIG. But then we have a lot of materials writers, a lot of publishers. Anybody involved in the peripheries of business English is involved in business English.
Which brings me to my next question. Do you think that teaching business English is so much different from teaching general English, and why? Obviously you're the expert, so not just because of the BESIG, but also because of your own professional occupation.
That's a very good question, and people are struggling and have been struggling with this for a very long time. What is special about business English? Well, perhaps it's very much more task-focused, objective focused. People need an outcome, and so you tend to find in business English courses that are very strict areas of focus, and people want English for specific purpose. For example, winning a negotiation, or doing a presentation, or successfully taking part in international meetings. So it's very context specific, very often within companies, and so a general English course might sometimes not appear as effective or as focused as perhaps a business English course. I think that's probably one of the reasons, one of the differences.
At the same time, I keep thinking to myself, when I see my own students, and I mean tertiary level students, presenting, and some of them are studying business. Some they're English teacher, but they're studying business. And they find a very simple 2-minute English presentation, Mount Everest. And it is as difficult for them to climb Mount Everest as it is to present. So my question would be, as educators, what is our mission to overcome the soft skill difficulties, or to overcome the English language difficulties, and how do we bridge these?
Yeah, the soft skills has become really very
very
popular,
not soft.
very popular in the last few years, as people realize that it's much more than just traditional language and verbs and nouns and grammar and things we've done in the English class. It's much more about communication. And so in business English you will always find stuff like intercultural training, leadership training, negotiations training, presentation skills training. It's very, very focused on these soft skills. And a lot of the publishers have now really focused on soft skills, and some of the big course books being published now, that's a main area of interest, soft skills.
How do you see this business, the business English SIG progressing over the years? Have you noticed some changes from when you first joined, when you first took over?
I'm not sure, because there are so many different areas in business English, and so for some people they're doing things now which they did 20 years ago, and other people are trying completely new things. There's a lot of online delivery now, of course, which didn't exist 10, 15, 20 years ago. And when I speak to colleagues, especially in Asia, in places like China or India, the idea of face-to-face training is slowly disappearing, as they have to deal with such sheer numbers of people with very specific needs, very important needs which have to be done yesterday as opposed to next week or in 2 months' time. So I think that's probably the urgency and the prioritizing.
And this allows us for more personalization in the lesson, perhaps smaller groups,
Small
less
groups, small
less
groups, for
expenses, so it makes the whole project more affordable.
Small groups is certainly a feature of Business English, I think, compared to many general English classes I've seen. Of course, it's adult education too. But it's very difficult to pin down and say this is Business English and this isn't, because it's a blurred, grey area of definition.
You're inspiring me to join now, and I do not teach Business English per se, but you're doing a good job out of it. Keep talking.
I should say that we're one of the big SIGs in IATEFL, and as one of the big SIGs, we have an annual conference every year. This is my pitch. And we have been, I think this year is the 32nd annual conference.
And it is a very big conference.
It's a very big conference.
SIG's conferences come.
Exactly. This year we're expecting between 400 and 500 people. It's going to be in Berlin in the middle of October. Visit our website to find out more. Call for papers, etc. is coming up this week. And yes, this is a feature, and in fact it's one of the interesting things that when you come to the IATEFL conference, there are not many talks on Business English, because Business English teachers tend to come to this other big IATEFL event, which we hold every year.
That's very interesting.
And, yes, so people join BESIG and then only ever come to the BESIG event.
So in a way, is this counterproductive for IATEFL?
No, because we're very much an IATEFL SIG. We see ourselves, we couldn't exist without IATEFL. We are just a successful IATEFL SIG and therefore able to put on these big events,
and
perhaps.
Do you think that it is because you all know about business that you're so successful?
I don't think so, but certainly we do have a lot of discussions in our committees in our committee meetings about business topics and how we should be promoting, how we should better be marketing, how we should be doing all the things that business people do. Yes, this is very much a product which we're trying to sell as much as anything else. But we do it within the family of the IATEFL SIGs very much.
So obviously you must have been expecting that question. It's been building up to it. You are one of our plenary speakers for the interactive closing plenary. Are you excited about it?
I'm very excited about it, and I'm very pleased because in the world I've been working in for the last 20-25 years, I see Business English, English for the workplace, as a huge part of the ELT sector. And yet I don't think we've ever had a plenary or a talk, a big talk at the IATEFL conference, which takes this sector into account.
Yeah, and zeroes in on these problems.
Exactly, and so I think all of BESIG was very pleased to see that we're finally doing this in a big event at the IATEFL conference.
Are you considering the format? Is the format a bit...
The format is adventurous, I think.
Yes, to say the least.
I think the final plenary traditionally has attracted some people. Other people are focused on leaving the conference. It's time to go home. Friday afternoon is a very tricky part.
Like yours, truly.
You're traveling as well on Friday afternoon.
Yes. The promo for the conference closing plenary, but won't be there. At the same time, I have a feeling that much like with the last closing plenary in 2013 and Sugata Mitra, if I'm not, which created a bombshell. It was like I landed, and it was like IATEFL had changed its face. It was like a different thing from what I had left a mere 2 hours ago. Well, 4 if you think of the actual time. So your own feelings about changes, not just in the business English world, but also in the way we teach, in the way we learn, in the way we are focusing on new trends. Can we predict?
I mean, this plenary brings in things which we wouldn't have done 5 or 10 years ago. We're having an interactive plenary, which is why I said it's adventurous. This is not something that we've done very much in the past, and this is probably the biggest interactive event we're going to attempt, where we're going to be talking to people from all over the world live in a plenary.
Which is why, and this is my pitch, this is why we have a hashtag, and we've encouraged people to share their thoughts and
You've
their
been
comments.
doing it online, we've had a lot of discussion online. I think that will build up, and I'm certainly hoping that because we have 4 such different perspectives of what way ELT is going, I think we will start challenging each other, asking each other questions, a little bit controversial, hopefully. Yes, we will generate discussion. I think that's one of the aims of
I am not afraid that you will not generate discussion.
We will generate discussion.
You light up the room, my dear. So I can
I'm not
go
sure
on.
next to you.
I'm not wearing my yellow t-shirt now. So I can go on name dropping and say, yeah, I know Evan. So thank you, Evan, for the honor
Thank you very much, Maria,
and for teaching me.
Thank you for your time.
Bye-bye.
And thank you